Imagine your life as a vessel navigating an unpredictable, vast ocean. Some days the water is calm and clear, the sun is warm, and you feel entirely in control. But then, the horizon darkens, the winds pick up, and massive waves crash against your hull. In your professional life, a project you poured months into is suddenly cancelled due to a budget shift you didn't influence. In your personal life, a friend says something cutting that makes you question your worth, or perhaps you wake up to a barrage of notifications that instantly spike your heart rate and fill your head with urgency. Most of us spend our entire lives trying to hold back the tide, frantically bailing out water while the storm rages harder, exhausted and bitter that the sea won't just behave. But there is a different way to navigate. Imagine if you could be like a lighthouse, immovable, steady, and radiant, regardless of the chaos spinning around you. You cannot stop the storm, but you can build a structure within yourself that makes the storm irrelevant to your internal peace. This is the ancient, rugged wisdom of a philosopher named Epictetus, a man who understood what it meant to be truly free in a world that tried to own him. He didn't preach about changing the world. He taught how to master the only terrain that truly matters, your own mind. By adopting this internal operating system, you don't just survive the waves, you learn to watch them with a sense of perspective that renders you genuinely, unshakably calm. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a philosophy of suppressing emotions or walking around with a stone-cold expression, but that couldn't be further from the truth. At its heart, it is a practical guide for emotional intelligence. It is the art of separating what is truly ours to manage from the vast, turbulent reality that lies outside our reach. Epictetus, who lived nearly 2,000 years ago, started his life in chains as a slave and ended it as one of the most influential teachers in the Roman Empire. His life is the ultimate proof that freedom is not about your circumstances. It is about your capacity to choose your response to those circumstances. Today, I am going to share 10 Stoic principles designed to help you build that kind of mental fortress. These are tools to help you stop reacting to the world like a leaf caught in the wind and start acting with the precision and clarity of someone who knows exactly where their power lies. We will go through the foundations of building purpose and guarding your thoughts, move into how to handle the inevitable slights and fears of daily life, and finally reach the more advanced disciplines of radical acceptance and living in harmony with your nature. Stick around until the very end, because the final two principles are perhaps the most counterintuitive, yet they are the ones that finally snap the chains of anxiety for most people. Let's begin the process of reclaiming your peace. Principle 1. Anchor your life with a clear purpose. To navigate a chaotic world, you must first know who you are and what you stand for. Without a clear compass, you are easily pushed in whichever direction the wind blows, whether that is the demands of your boss, the opinions of your family, or the dopamine loop of social media. An anchor isn't just about big career goals, it is about defining your character. Epictetus believed that your primary purpose is to be the best version of yourself, regardless of what the external world demands of you. If your purpose is tied to things you can lose, like money or reputation, you will always be anxious. If your purpose is tied to your own integrity and your capacity for wisdom, you are safe from the loss of those external things. Imagine you are working in a fast-paced office environment where the culture is toxic and everyone is vying for validation. If your goal is to be liked or to be the fastest climber, every minor critique or missed promotion will crush you. But if your goal is to be the most helpful, ethical, and reliable person in that room, regardless of the outcome, then the criticism becomes secondary. You aren't playing the game for the trophy, you are playing it to practice the sport of excellence. You can start today by taking 10 minutes to journal about what virtues matter most to you. Ask yourself, if no one ever knew what I did today, would I still do it with the same level of care? Create a set of North Star values for yourself and place them somewhere you see every morning. When a stressful moment hits, pause and ask yourself if your current reaction aligns with those values or if it is just a frantic attempt to protect your ego. Your purpose is the anchor. Life's storms are just the shifting tides. Principle 2. Guard your mind like a fortress. Your mind is the only true territory you possess. Every moment of every day, Information is coming at you from everywhere: emails, news reports, the people you pass on the street, all competing for your attention and your emotional investment. If you leave the gates of your mind wide open, you will eventually find your thoughts filled with anxiety and resentment that didn't originate with you. Epictetus taught that we should be the gatekeepers of our own impressions. We have the ability to pause and inspect the thoughts that enter our minds before we allow them to become emotions. Think of your mind as a house with a gate. If a stranger knocks, you don't automatically invite them in and give them the keys to your living room. You look through the peephole. If you see a notification that a friend didn't respond to your text, you feel a twinge of panic. That is the stranger knocking. Instead of letting that feeling in, you examine it. You ask yourself, is this a fact, or is it a story I am telling myself? You recognize that you have no control over their timing, and you choose not to let that thought settle in. Start a daily practice of mental filtration. Whenever you catch yourself spiraling, stop and say, this is an impression, not the truth. You can even set a timer on your phone for 3 times a day to just stop and check. What is currently occupying my mental space, and did I invite it there? If it is useless, discard it. If it is harmful, address it with logic. Your mind is your home. Guard its peace with the same diligence you would use to protect your physical residence. Your awareness is the key. Don't hand it over to just any passing thought. Principle 3. Turn criticism into data, not drama. Criticism is inevitable, yet it is one of the most common sources of unnecessary suffering. We often treat a negative comment as a personal attack, a dent in our armor that must be defended at all costs. But Stoics view criticism differently. It is simply data. If someone tells you that you are late with a report, they are giving you a piece of information about your performance or their expectations. It is not an indictment of your soul. Epictetus suggested that we should listen to critics with a calm, analytical ear. If what they say is true, you have learned something you can improve. If it is false, then the person who spoke is simply mistaken, and you have no reason to be upset by their ignorance. Imagine you are presenting an idea to a group of peers and someone scoffs, calling it impractical. Your gut reaction might be to get defensive or to withdraw. Instead, pause, look at the comment objectively. Is there a kernel of truth in it that could make your project better? Even if they said it with malice, the information itself might be valuable. By taking the data and discarding the delivery, you strip the critic of their power. To practice this, next time someone criticizes you, respond with, "Thank you for that feedback, I will consider it." Do not argue, do not explain yourself, and do not apologize profusely. Just take the data. If it's helpful, use it. If it's not, let it go. You don't need to win the argument. You just need to become more capable. Your integrity is not something that can be scratched by someone else's words. Principle 4. Transform OFFENSE into inner strength. Being offended is a choice, though we rarely realize it. When we take offense, we are essentially handing our internal peace over to someone else and giving them permission to disrupt it. We are saying that our mood is contingent upon their behavior. Epictetus argued that we only get offended when we believe we have been wronged or disrespected, but no one can truly disrespect us unless we participate in that disrespect by believing it. Think about a time when a stranger in traffic cut you off or made a rude gesture. You might have spent the next 20 minutes fuming, replaying the scene in your mind. But what did that achieve? It only ruined your morning. The other person is likely miles away, having forgotten you entirely. You are the only one paying the cost for their lack of character. When someone is rude, see it as a symptom of their own internal disorder, not a reflection of your worth. They are acting out of stress, anger, or poor judgment. When you choose not to be offended, you are actually practicing a higher form of strength. It is easy to lash back. It is difficult and noble to remain composed. Start a no-offense challenge for 1 week. Every time you feel that surge of indignation rising, take a deep breath and remind yourself that the other person's behavior is their own burden to carry. Ask yourself, does this person have the power to change my values? If not, their opinion has no leverage. Keep your cool, because your peace is too valuable to be traded for someone else's bad mood. Principle 5. Face fear and shame with rational courage. Fear and shame are shadows that grow larger the more we try to run from them. We fear what people might think of us, we fear failure, and we carry the shame of past mistakes like a heavy cloak. Epictetus emphasized that these feelings are often based on a confusion. We fear losing things that aren't actually under our control, or we feel ashamed for things that are just part of being human. If you fear failure, you will never take the risks necessary to grow. If you carry shame, you are stuck in the past, which is already gone. Imagine you are terrified of speaking up in a meeting because you might say something stupid. The fear of embarrassment is keeping you silent, but consider this: what is more shameful, potentially being wrong in a productive conversation or letting your best ideas die because you were afraid of a momentary, harmless judgment from others? You shift your perspective by realizing that failure is just a learning event, and embarrassment is a fleeting emotion that cannot hurt you. To practice this, intentionally put yourself in small situations that feel slightly uncomfortable. Ask a question, share a thought, or admit when you don't know something. By doing this repeatedly, you desensitize yourself to the fear. When you feel shame rising, ask yourself, is this action actually immoral, or am I just afraid of being judged? If it's not immoral, then hold your head high. You are a work in progress, and your current mistakes are merely the tuition you pay for wisdom. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the choice to act in accordance with your values despite the fear. Principle 6. Expect obstacles before they arrive. We often suffer the most because we live in a state of naive optimism, assuming that everything should go exactly according to plan. When the inevitable obstacle appears, a flat tire, a cancelled flight, a technical error, we are shocked and frustrated. Epictetus taught a powerful technique of premeditation of evils, which isn't about being a pessimist, but about being a realist. Before you start your day, your work, or a new relationship, mentally walk through what could go wrong. By anticipating obstacles, you strip them of their power to surprise you. You aren't hopping for the worst, you are preparing for reality. Imagine you have a busy day of meetings ahead. Instead of assuming it will be smooth sailing, take a moment to consider that someone might be late, the internet might fail, or you might get a difficult piece of news. Because you've already pictured these outcomes, when they actually happen, you don't react with shock. You simply pivot to the next step. You become the professional who solves the problem rather than the victim who complains about it. Every morning, spend 2 minutes reflecting on your upcoming tasks and ask yourself, what are the common friction points here? Then, decide in advance how you would handle them calmly. This practice turns obstacles into predictable events, making you infinitely more resilient. You move from being reactive to being proactive, and that shift alone creates a profound sense of stability. A pilot doesn't panic when they see a storm. They navigate through it because they expected it to be there. Principle 7. Build inner strength instead of chasing control. The greatest source of human suffering is the desperate attempt to control things that are fundamentally outside of our jurisdiction. We try to control the weather, the economy, what our partner thinks of us, and what the future holds. It is a losing battle that leads to constant frustration. Epictetus defined the dichotomy of control as the cornerstone of Stoicism. There are things you control, your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, and things you do not. Everything else is ultimately borrowed. If you pour your energy into the things you don't control, you are wasting your life. Imagine you are worried about a promotion. You can control the quality of your work, your punctuality, and how you treat your colleagues. You cannot control the hiring manager's mood, the company's budget, or the competition. If you fixate on the outcome, you are miserable. If you focus entirely on your own preparation and performance, you find peace because you have succeeded the moment you give your best. Start categorizing your stresses. When you feel anxious, write down, what can I do about this? If there is an action you can take, take it. If there is absolutely nothing you can do, then accept that the outcome is not yours to hold. You are the architect of your own character. Leave the rest to the unfolding of events. By letting go of the need for external control, you gain a vastly more powerful form of control, the mastery over your own internal state. Principle 8. Restrain impulses, not emotions. There is a common misconception that Stoics have no emotions. That is not true. Stoics have feelings just like anyone else. The difference is that they do not let those feelings dictate their actions. An impulse is that immediate, automatic urge to shout when angry, to flee when scared, or to binge eat when bored. Epictetus taught that we should put a pause between the impulse and the action. This pause is the seat of human freedom. You might feel a surge of rage, but you don't have to act on it. You might feel an intense desire to buy something you don't need, but you don't have to hit purchase. Imagine you are in a high-pressure situation where a coworker is undermining you. you feel a hot flash of anger and an impulse to insult them back. Instead of acting on that impulse, notice it. Feel the emotion as a physical sensation in your body, but treat it as a signal, not a command. You can say to yourself, I am feeling angry and that's okay, but I will not let this anger speak for me. This is where character is forged. It is not about pretending you are calm when you are not. It is about acting with virtue even when your internal state is turbulent. Start by practicing the pause in low-stakes situations. When you feel the urge to check your phone, pause for 10 seconds. When you feel the urge to snap at a family member, take 3 deep breaths before you respond. Over time, this gap will grow, and you will find that you have total control over how you engage with the world, regardless of what you are feeling inside. Principle 9. Practice radical acceptance of what you cannot change. This is the bridge to true liberation. We spend so much energy mourning the past or dreading the future, wishing reality were different than it is. But reality is exactly what it is, and wishing otherwise is like arguing with gravity. Epictetus encouraged us to embrace the amor fati, a love of one's fate. This doesn't mean you have to like everything that happens, but it means you accept the events as they are without the mental burden of this shouldn't be happening. Think of a time you were stuck in heavy traffic on your way to an important event. You were likely tapping the steering wheel, checking your watch, and getting more and more frustrated. But did your anger clear the road? No. It only made the traffic feel longer and your blood pressure rise. Radical acceptance means saying, the traffic is bad, I cannot change it, and therefore I will use this time to listen to a podcast or simply sit in silence. You are not suffering because of the traffic. You are suffering because of your resistance to it. To practice this, look for moments in your daily life where you find yourself mentally resisting reality. When you face an annoyance, say out loud, this is part of the path. It's not a defeat, it's a strategic pivot. When you stop fighting reality, you free up a massive amount of mental energy that you can then pour into doing your best in the current situation. It is the ultimate secret to remaining serene in an unpredictable world. Principle 10. Live in harmony with your nature and the world. The final, most profound principle is to live in alignment with both your own nature as a rational social human being and with the nature of the universe. This means acting with kindness, justice, and reasonableness because that is what humans are designed to do. We are built for cooperation, for learning, and for endurance. When we act selfishly or irrationally, we go against our own nature, and that friction is where unhappiness starts. Epictetus reminded us that we are part of a larger whole. Just as a hand or a foot has a role in the body, we have a role in the human community. When you help someone, you are doing what you were meant to do. When you seek to understand instead of just to be right, you are doing what you were meant to do. Imagine you are working on a collaborative team project and someone is failing to pull their weight. Your initial reaction might be to judge them and distance yourself. But living in harmony with your nature means recognizing that you are all parts of the same whole. You might choose to help them, mentor them, or compensate for them, not because you have to, but because it is the rational, social thing to do for the sake of the goal. By acting with kindness and integrity, you align yourself with the grain of the universe. Start focusing on how you can be a better part of the community around you, whether that is your family, your workplace, or your neighborhood. What can you do today to make the environment better? When you move through the world with the intention of being a source of reason and help, you find that the world treats you with a different kind of respect. You are no longer struggling against everything. You are moving in flow with the rhythm of life itself. Recap and reflection. We have traveled a long road, from building the foundation of your character to mastering the advanced art of radical acceptance. Let's quickly look at what you've learned. We started with the inner mindset, anchoring yourself in clear values, guarding your mind like a fortress against unwanted impressions, and turning every bit of criticism into useful data. Then we moved to the emotional skills, refusing to be offended, using rational courage to face fear, and expecting obstacles so they never catch you off guard. Finally, we looked at the daily disciplines, focusing only on what you can control, restraining your impulses, practicing radical acceptance of the world as it is, and living in harmony with your social nature. These 10 principles are not a quick fix. They are a daily practice. They are the tools that allow you to become the lighthouse in the storm. If you want to start applying this today, I suggest a simple 7-day challenge. Choose one principle each day. On Monday, practice the pause before you react. On Tuesday, identify one thing you cannot control and let it go. On Wednesday, try to find a piece of data in a critique. By the end of the week, you will have had a taste of what it feels like to be truly in the driver's seat of your own life. Ask yourself these questions as you move through your week. What part of my current stress is based on things I cannot control? Am I acting based on a rational choice or an immediate impulse? Am I living in a way that respects my own integrity, or am I just chasing the approval of others? Spend time with these questions. They are the keys to a life that is not just manageable, but deeply, intentionally yours. You're called to action. Becoming truly unshakable is a journey of small, consistent choices, not one big transformation. I would love to hear which of these 10 principles feels most urgent for you to practice this week. Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to focus on the pause, or perhaps mastering the dichotomy of control? I read every comment, and I think it's powerful to share your intent with others. If you found this reflection helpful and you want to continue building this mental fortress, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into Stoic philosophy and practical wisdom. Remember, the world will always be unpredictable and filled with challenges, but your power is not in changing the world. It is in mastering your response to it. You are the architect of your peace. Choose wisely, stay grounded, and I will see you in the next one.